Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kadamahyam Darati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayamudirayed, Srinvatam Svakata Krishna, Punyashravana Kirtana, Hridyantah Stoya Badrani, Vitunuti Suhrit Satam, नस्तप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the person of God Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses this heart from material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of God who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, text number 4. Svam eva dishnam bahumanayantam yadvasudeva bidam mananti pratyagritaksham bhujakoshanam mishad unmilayantam vidubodayaya. Svam himself eva thus dishnam situated bahu greatly manayantam esteemed yet that which Vasudeva, Lord Vasudeva, Abhidam by the name, Amananti, acknowledge, Pratyagdritaksha, eye settled for introspection, Ambujakosham, lotus-like eye, Ishat, slightly, Unmilyantam, open, Vibhuda, greatly learned sages, Udayaya, for the sake of advancement. Translation. At that time, Lord Sankarsana was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva. But for the sake of the advancement of the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. At that time, Lord Sankarshana was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned say, whom the whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva. But for the sake of the advancement of the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. Svardhunyudardrai svajata kalapair upasprashantascharanopadanam padmam yadarchantya hirajakanya sapremanana balibirvarartha svaduni udam by the water of the Ganga, dry, being moistened, svajata, bunch of hairs, kalapai, situated on the head, upasprashanta, by so touching, sharana upadanam, the shelter of his feet, patmam, the lotus shelter, yat, that which, archanti, worships, Ahiraja, the serpent king, Kanya, daughters, Saprema, with great devotion, Nana, various, Balibi, paraphilia, Varata, being desirous of husbands. Hare Krishna, Praveen, Prabhupada, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Translation. The sages came from the highest planets down to the lower region through the water of the Ganga, and therefore the hair on their heads was wet. They touched the lotus feet of the Lord, which are worshipped with various paraphilia by the daughters of the serpent king when they desire good husbands. Purport. The Ganga water flows directly from the lotus feet of Vishnu, and its course runs from the highest planet of the universe down to the lowest. The sages came down from Satyaloka by taking advantage of the flowing water, a process of transportation made possible by the power of mystic yoga. If a river flows thousands and thousands of miles, a perfect yogi can at once transport himself from one place to another simply by dipping in its water. The Ganga is the only celestial river which flows through the entire universe, and great sages travel all over the universe via this sacred river. The statement that their hair was wet indicates that it was directly moistened by the water originating from the lotus feet of Vishnu, the Ganga. Whoever touches the water of the Ganga to his head surely touches the lotus feet of the Lord directly and can become free from all effects of sin flags. If after taking a bath in the Ganga or being washed of all sins, a man guards himself against committing further sin flags, then certainly he is delivered. But if he again takes up sinful activities, his bath in the Ganga is as good as that of the elephant, who nicely takes his bath in a river, but later spoils the whole thing by covering himself with dust on the land. Text number 6. Hare Krishna, Praveen, Prabhupada, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharma Pran, Jai Shri Prabhu. Can I read?
Yes, Prabhu.
This is chapter 8, text 6, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Canto 3, chapter 8, text 6. Muhur grananto vachasanuragasya khalat padenasya kritani tajnaha किरीट साहस्र मणि प्रवेक प्रद्योतितो धाम फणा सहस्रम synonyms. Muhu, again and again, grinantah, glorifying, vachasa, by words, anuragaha, with great affection, khalat padena, with symmetrical rhythm. Asya of the Lord. Kritani activities. Tad jnana. Tad jnaha. One who knows the pastimes. Kirita, helmets. Sahasra, thousands. Mani praveka, glowing effulgence of the valuable stones. Pradyotita, emanating from Uddama, raised. Phana, hoods. Sahasram, thousands. Translation purport is divine grace and Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The four Kumaras headed by Sanat Kumara, who all knew the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, glorified the Lord in rhythmic essence with the selected words full of affection and love. At that time, Lord Shankarshna, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stones on his head. Purport. The Lord is sometimes addressed as Uttama Sloka, which means one who is worshipped with selected words by devotees. A profusion of such selected words comes from a devotee who is fully absorbed in affection and love for the devotional service of the Lord. There are many instances in which even a small boy who was a great devotee of the Lord could offer excellent prayers in the choicest words for glorification of the pastimes of the Lord. In other words, without the development of fine affection and love, one cannot offer prayers to the Lord very suitably. Text 7. Proktam kalaitad bhagavattamena nivritti dharmabhirataya tena sanat kumaraya sa chaha prishtaha sankhyaaya nayanga drutavrataya. Synonyms. Proktam was said, kila certainly, etad this, bhagavattamena by Lord Sankarshna, nivritti renunciation, dharma abhirataya unto one who has taken this religious vow, tena unto him, Sanat Kumaraya unto Sanat Kumara, Saha he cha also, aha said, Prishtaha when inquired of, Sankhyayanaya unto the great sage Sankhayaya. Sankhyayana. Okay, unto the great sage Sankhyayana. Anga. My dear Vidura, Dritavrataya. Dritavrataya. Unto one who has taken such a vow. Translation. Lord Sankrishna thus spoke the purport of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumara also, in his turn, when inquired of by Sankhya Muni, explained Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as he had heard it from Sankrishna. Purport. This is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumara, the well-known great saintly Kumara, was in the perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Lord Sankarshna. Similarly, when he was questioned by Sankhya Rishi, he spoke to him the same message which he heard from Lord Sankarshna. In other words, unless one hears from the proper authority, one cannot become a preacher. In devotional service, therefore, two items out of the nine, namely hearing and chanting, are most important. Without hearing nicely, one cannot preach the message of Vedic knowledge. Text 8. Sankhyayanah Paramahamsasya Mukhyo Vivakshamaano Bhagavat Vibhutihi Jagad Sosmad Gurave Nimitaya Parasharayatha Bruhaspatescha. Synonyms. Sankhya Naha, the great sage Sankhyayana. Paramahamsasya Mukhayaha, the chief of all, Mukyaha. Paramahamsasya Mukyaha, the chief of all transcendentalists. Vivakshamanaha, while reciting Bhagavad Vibhutihi, the glories of Lord Jagada, it came to Saha, he, Asmat, mine, Gurave, unto my spiritual master, Anvitaya, followed Parasaraya, unto the sage Parasara, Atha, Brahaspate cha, also to Brahaspati. Translation: the great sage Sankhayana was the chief amongst the transcendentalists, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master Parasara and Brahaspati both heard him. Text 9. Provacha Mahyamsa Dayalur Ukto Munihi Pulastyena Puranam Adyam Soham Tavaitat Kathayami Vatsam Shraddha Lave Nityam Anuvritaya. Synonyms. Provacha said, Mahyam unto me, Saha he, Dayaluhu kind-hearted, Uktaha aforementioned, Munihi sage, Pulatsyena by the sage Pulatsya, Puranam Adyam, the foremost of all the Puranas, Saha Aham, that also I, Tava, unto you, Etad, this, Kathayami, shall speak, Vatsa, my dear son, Shraddhalave, unto one who is faithful, Nityam, always, Anuvrataya, unto one who is a follower. Translation: the great sage Parasara, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulasya, spoke about unto me the foremost of the Puranas Bhagavatam. I shall also describe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always my faithful follower. Purport: the great sage of the name Pulasya is the father of all demonic descendants. Once upon a time, Parasara began a sacrifice in which all the demons were to be burnt to death because his father had been killed and devoured by one of them. The great sage Vasishtha Muni arrived at the sacrifice and requested Parasara to stop the deadly action, and Parasara could not deny the request because of Vasishtha's position and request in the community of sages. Parasara, having stopped the sacrifice, Pulasya, the father of the demons, appreciated his Brahminical temperament and gave the blessing that in the future he would be a great speaker on the Vedic literatures called the Puranas, the supplements of the Vedas. Parasara's action was appreciated by Pulasya because he forgave the demons out of his Brahminical power of forgiveness. Parasara was able to demolish all the demons in the sacrifice, but he considered demons are so made that they devour living creatures, men and animals. But why, on that account, should I withdraw my Brahminical qualification of forgiveness? As the great speaker of the Puranas, Parasara first of all spoke on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Purana because it is the foremost of all the Puranas. Maitreya Muni desired to narrate the same Bhagavatam which he had heard from Parasara and Vidura. And Vidura was qualified to hear it because of his faithfulness and his following the instructions received from superiors. So, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was being narrated from time immemorial by the disciplic succession even before the time of Vyasadeva. The so-called historians calculate the Puranas to be only a few hundred years old, but factually, the Puranas existed from time immemorial before all historical calculations by the mundaners and speculative philosophers. Text 10. Udaplutam Vishwam idam tadasid Enidraya Milita Drin Nemilayat Ahindra Talpe Adisayana Ekaha Kritakshanaha Swatvam Ratau Nirihaha. Synonyms: Uda, water; Aplutam, submerged in; Vishwam, the three worlds; Idam, this; Tada, at that point; Asit, it so remained; Yat, in which; Nidraya, in slumber; Amilita, closed; Drik, eyes; Yamilayat, not completely closed; Ahindra, the great snake; Ananta, Talpe, on the bed of; Adishayanaha, lying on; Ekaha, alone; Krita Shanaha, being engaged; Swatma Ratau, enjoying in his eternal potency; Niriha, without any part of external energy. Translation: At that time, when the three worlds were submerged in water, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu was alone, lying on his bedstead. The great snake Ananta, and although he appeared to be in slumber in his own internal potency, free from the action of the external energy, his eyes were not completely closed. Purport: The Lord is eternally enjoying transcendental bliss by his internal potency, whereas the external potency is suspended during the time of the dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. Text 11. सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पित भूत सूक्ष्मः काला कालात्मिकां शक्तिम् उदीरयानः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणी रुद्ध वीर्यः. Synonyms: Saha, the Supreme Lord; Antaha, within; Sharire, in the transcendental body; Arpita, kept; Bhuta, material elements; Sukshmaha, subtle; Kala, Atmikam, the form of time; Shaktim, energy; Udirayanaha, invigorating; Uvasa, resided; Tasmin, therein; Salile, in the water; Pade, in the place; Sve, his own; Yatha, as much as; Analaha, fire; Daruni, in the fuel wood; Ruddha Viryaha, submerged strength. Translation: Just like the strength of fire within fuel wood, the Lord remained within the water of dissolution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self-invigorated energy called Kala. Purport: After the three worlds, the upper, the lower, and middle planetary systems merge into the water of dissolution, the living entities of all the three worlds remained in their subtle bodies by dint of the energy called Kala. In this dissolution, the gross bodies became unmanifest, but the subtle bodies existed, just like the water of the material creation. Thus, the material energy was not completely wound up, as is the case in the full dissolution of the material world. Text 12. Chaturयुगानां च सहस्रम् अप्सु स्वपन् स्वयोदीरितया स्वशक्त्या कालाख्यया आसादित कर्म तंत्रो लोकान् आपीतान् ददृशो स्वदेहे synonyms चतुः 4 युगानाम of the millenniums cha also sahasram 1000 apsu in the water swapan dreaming in sleep swaya with his internal potency udiritaya for further development swashaktya by his own energy kala akhyaya akhyaya by the name kala asadita being so engaged karma tantraha in the karma tantriyaha in the matter of fruitive activities lokan the total living entities apitan bluish dadrishe saw it so swadehe in his own body. Translation: the Lord lay down for 4,000 yuga cycles in his internal potency, and by his external energy, he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out for further development of their fruitive activities, executed by the energy called Kala Shakti, he saw his transcendental body as bluish. Purport: in the Vishnu Purana, Kala Shakti is mentioned as avidya. The symptom of the influence of the Kala Shakti is that one has to work in the material world for fruitive results. The fruitive workers are described in Bhagavad Gita as moodas or foolish. Such foolish living entities are very enthusiastic to work for some temporary benefit within perpetual bondage. One thinks himself very clever throughout his life if he is able to leave behind him a great asset of wealth for his children, and to achieve this temporary benefit, he takes the risk of all sinful activities without knowledge that such activities will keep him perpetually bound by the shackles of material bondage. Due to his polluted mentality and due to material sins, the aggregate combination of living entities appear to be bluish. Such an impetus of activity for fruitive result is made possible by the dictation of the external energy of the Lord Kala. Text 13. तस्यार्थसूक्ष्माभिनिवीक्षत दृष्टेर् अन्तर्गतोऽर्थो रजसा तनीयान् गुणेन कालानुगतेन विद्यः विद्यः विद्धः तथाभिद्यता नाभिदेशात् synonyms tasya his artha subject sukshma subtle abhinivishta drishteh of one whose attention was fixed antahgatah internal artha purpose rajasa by the mode of passion of material nature taniyan very subtle gunena by the qualities kala anugatena in due course of time viddaha agitated sukshyah generating that avidyata pierced into nabhideshat from the abdomen. Translation: the subtle subject matter of creation on which the Lord's attention was fixed was agitated by the material mode of passion, and thus the subtle form of creation pierced through his abdomen. Okay. All this is forming for the birth of Brahma. Mhm. Okay, who wants to read next?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, stand out pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna
Can we
Prabhu,
do
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhu. We have 10 more minutes, then I have to go for some stupid meeting.
just 10 minutes? Okay. Text 14.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Sapadmakosha.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhu. Please
Lebam.
accept my
Prabhupada,
obeisances from Grace to Shri
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
after you, Prabhu, can I just read one?
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
We can
Of
change
course.
one after other.
You can continue, Lebam Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Okay, Prabhu, no problem. Okay. Sapatma koshaha saha sodati shatahat. Kalena karma prati bode hanena. Zvaro chisha tad salilam vishalam vidyotayan arka ivatma yonihi. Synonyms: sa, that; padma kosha, part of a lotus flower; sahasa, suddenly; udatishtahat, appeared; kalena, by time; karma, fruitive activities; pratiboda hanenam, awakening; svarochisha, by its own effulgence; that; salilam, water of devastation; Vishalam, vast; Vidyotayan, illuminating; Arkaha, the sun; Eva, like; Atma Yoni, generating from the personality of Vishnu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Oh, there's no purport. Piercing through this sum total form of the fruitive activity of the living entities took the shape of the bud of a lotus flower generated from the personality of Vishnu, and by his supreme will it illuminated everything like the sun and dried up the vast waters of devastation. Okay. Tal loka padmam sa u eva Vishnu pravivi shat sarva guna vabasam tasmin svayam vida mayo vidata svayam bhuvam yam sma vadanti sobut. Synonym: start, that; loka, universal; padmam, lotus flower; saha, he; is it u or you? Certainly; eva, factually; Vishnu, the Lord; pravivishat, entered into; sarva, all; guna avabasam, reservoir of all modes of nature; tasmin, in which; svayam, in person; Veda Mayaha, the personality of Vedic wisdom; Vidata, controller of the universe; Svayam Bhuvam, self-born; Yam, whom; Sma, in the past; Vadanti, do say; Saha, he; Abhut, generated. Translation: into that universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as the super soul, and when it was thus impregnated with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. Can I reread it, Prabhu? Can I reread it? The translation? Into that universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as the super soul, and when it was thus impregnated with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. Purport: this lotus flower is the universal Virat form, or the gigantic form of the Lord in the material world. It becomes a amalgamated. Is it how do you pronounce it? Amalgamated.
Amalgamated.
Amalgamated. Okay,
Yes.
amalgamated. In the personality of Godhead Vishnu, in his abdomen at the time of dissolution, and it becomes manifest at the time of creation. This is due to Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who enters into each of the universes. In this form is the sum total of all the fruitive activities of the living entities conditioned by material nature. And the first of them, namely Brahma, or the controller of the universe, is generated from this lotus flower. This firstborn living being, unlike all the others, has no material father, and thus he is called self-born or Svayambhu. He goes to sleep with Narayana at the time of devastation, and when there is another creation, he is born in this way. From this description, we have the conception of three, the gross Virat form, the subtle Hiranyagarbha, and the material creative force Brahma.
Haribol.
Haribol,
Thank you so much,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, then Vansh Prabhu or Dheeraj Prabhu can read next 3 minutes.
Yeah, we can read one verse. Text 16.
Vansh Prabhu,
Tasyam
take page 16. Oh, yes, Dheeraj Prabhu, you can read.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Take 16. Tasyam sacambho prudakarnikayam avasthito lokam apasyamana parikramam vyomni vivrittanetras chatvari lebhe nudisham mukhani. Tasyam, in that, cha ambo, water, ruha karnikayam, whole of the lotus, avasthita, being situated, lokam, the world, apasyamana, without being able to see, parikraman, circumambulating, vyomni, in space, vivritta netra, while moving the eyes, chatvari, the four lebhe, achieved, anudisham, in terms of direction, mukhani, mouths. Translation: Brahma, born out of the lotus flower, could not see the world, although he was situated in the whole. He therefore circumambulated all of space, and while moving his eyes in all directions, he achieved four heads in terms of the four directions. Ripple. Once Prabhu can continue, text 17. Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Okay, last verse, Haribol.
तस्माद् युगान्ता स्वसुनव गुरुणा जलोर्मि सक्रात् सलिलाद् विदु उपश्रिता कंजम उलोका तत्वम नत्मनाम adhavivad adideva. Tasmat, from there, Yuganta at the end of millennium. Swasnavad, the air of devastation. Gurna, because of movement. Jala, water. Urmisakrat, out of the circle of waves. Salilat, from the water. Virudhuvan, situated on them. Upasrita, having the shelter of. Kanjam, lotus flower. You, in astonishment. Lokatattvam, the mystery of creation. Na, node. Atmanam, himself. Adha, perfectly. Avidat, could understand. Adideva, the first demigod. Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, situated in the lotus, could not perfectly understand the creation, the lotus or himself. At the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move the water and lotus in great circular waves. Purport. Lord Brahma was perplexed about his creation, the lotus and the world, even though he tried to understand them for 1 millennium, which is beyond calculation in the solar years of human beings. No one, therefore, can know the mystery of the creation and cosmic manifestation simply by mental speculation. The human being is so limited in his capacity that without the help of Supreme, he can hardly understand the mystery of the will of the Lord in terms of creation, continuance, and destruction. Haribol. Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, now we read 6 Satakam prayers. Cetodarpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam Sreyah Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vityavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvatanam Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Namna makariba huda nija sarva shaktis tatrar pitanya smarane nagala etatrishi tavagripan bhagavan mamapi durodaiva met vishamahajina nuragraha.
Trinadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnuna manina manadena kirtaniya sada hari.
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कविताम्बा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनि ईश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
Ainandatanuja kinkaram patitam mam shame bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankhaja stita duli sadarsham vichintaya.
Naimangala Sudaraya Vadanam Gadgadarudaya Gira Pulaka Chitam Vapukada Dravana Magrahane Bhavishyati.
निगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविश्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे
Asisleva Paratham Pinastumam Adarshanam Marmam Hatam Garutuva Yata Tatava Vidatulan Pato Mat Prananatastu Saeva Narpanaha.
Haribo, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One
One
should
should
chant the
chant.
holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaja Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will your voice shape up and when will the hairs of my body stand on even at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, oh, oh, Go, oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Sri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Baujanma Karayadi Shravana Kirtan, Taputana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second
The
offense
second
is to
offense,
consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
the third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, thinking him as an ordinary person.
Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth
Fifth
offense
offense
to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense
Sixth
is to give
offense.
some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth
Ninth
offense to
offense.
instruct the blessed person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments. Even after understanding so many instructions on this matter, it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Nanda Gaudiya Vaishnava ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your association. Sorry for having so short reading session, but I have to go to some stupid housing meeting. So
Government, Haribo.
yes, Prabhu, they're gonna tell what renovation they will do to this.
Preach them Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhu. I think there will be a lot of old people. Let's see what they will do. Haribo. Thank you.